I'm Halen Garber, and I'm glad to be here on behalf of Tate Reeves and his candidacy for governor. Let me make just something plain about this election. This election in the Republican primary, two good people. This is not about who's a good person, who's a bad person. Bill Waller's a nice guy. I worked with him as governor. Thought he was a great Chief Justice. I think he's a good person. This election is about policy. This is about issues. This is about the matters that affect government in Mississippi, which affects all the people of Mississippi. And don't let anybody steer you off in any other direction. There are differences in their views on policy. First of all, I'll tell you that Tate understands that government doesn't have any money except what it takes from the public. Government doesn't have any money except what it takes from you in taxes. And that's why I laughed the other night when Attorney General Jim Hood said that the conservative Republicans with Phil Bryant and Tate Reeves were taking money away from the government. Well, when we collect less in taxes, we're letting the people that worked and earned the money keep more of what they earned, so they can put it to use for their families and for their communities, because we understand that this hard-working people's money, and the government ought to take the least of it that it can. You know, some people want to judge politicians' commitment to education by how much money they're willing to spend. What we need to judge people's commitment to education is by the results that they get for our children and for our economy and ultimately for our state. And I am very proud as governor to see our test scores in Mississippi going up. You know, it's interesting to be reading in the paper people complaining about we're not spending enough money, yet our results are getting better. And that's what we ought to be concerned about. There are a bunch of great people up here behind me, elected officials, some of them candidates this year in statewide races, and one of them is going to do something that he hadn't done so far this year, and that's make an endorsement in the governor's race. Mark, would you go right behind?
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor Barber. Good afternoon, and I'm so glad to be here today. And I want to thank you for joining us in what I think is a very straightforward decision. In the Republican runoff next week, Mississippians will choose between a conservative, principled Republican candidate in Tate Reeves and a Republican candidate who backs Obamacare expansion and wants to increase taxes. For me, the choice is clear. Tate Reeves is the best choice as our next governor for the state of Mississippi. Tate Reeves and I were elected in the same year back in 2003 to serve our great state. And since coming to Jackson 16 years ago, I've witnessed Governor Reeves lead with confidence. I've witnessed firsthand his steadfast dedication to the strong conservative values that we Mississippians share. And that consistent conservative record has paid off. Tate Reeves has worked to balance our state budget, and his leadership was critical in passing the largest tax cut in state history. Tate Reeves has a solid plan to continue to cut taxes, to build on the successes that we have seen in our schools, to grow our economy, and to provide the best environment to keep and attract new business and industry. Tate Reeves has a proven record of fighting for and safeguarding our conservative values and principles. And I have no doubt that he will continue to do so as our next governor of the state of Mississippi. So today I ask you to join me as we move forward next week with Tate Reeves as the clear conservative choice for governor. And then as we move on in November to beat trial-loving lawyer, tax and spend liberal, Obama, Pelosi, Schumer, Clinton, Warren, Sanders. Man, that list is getting long. Comrade in arms, Jim Hood. Tate Reeves will beat Jim Hood because he has a proven record of accomplishment. He has real ideas and unapologetic conservative ideals. And that's just the way it is. So let's look forward. Let's get behind Tate Reeves. a conservative candidate who is working every day to earn every vote of every Mississippian across our great state. With Governor Reeves' leadership, we will build on the successes of the last 8 years and keep our state moving in the right direction. I'm now honored to introduce Governor Phil Bryant, who, as state representative, auditor, lieutenant governor, and our great conservative governor, has tirelessly helped Mississippi achieve so much. And in my opinion, will be remembered as one of our state's greatest statesmen. Governor Bryant.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. Glad to be here with you. Several weeks ago, I endorsed Tate Reeves. I did that without hesitation or reservation because I'm a conservative, and I know Tate Reeves is as well. I've been working with this young man for the past 8 years, actually the past 16 years and beyond. And so there are a lot of good people running for governor. I'm not here to personally judge anyone, but I am here to tell you there's one conservative in this race. Now, I'm not for raising anybody's taxes. I'm not raising gasoline taxes. I'm governor, and I've fought against that, and I can tell you why. Because Tate and I are from a working class background. Our fathers grew up working hard, and when you've got to drive 40 miles to and from a job, raising your gasoline tax makes a difference. Now, it's easy if you're a wealthy individual. If you're making plenty of money and driving a new Cadillac or a big expensive car, and you might think, well, a few more pennies doesn't make a difference. It makes a difference to the working men and women of this state. So I don't want to hear any more talk about how it's okay to raise people's taxes. It's their money, and they get a chance to make a decision on it next Tuesday. Obamacare, now I hear organizations are saying, oh, it's not Obamacare, it's Indiana care, or it's Illinois care, it's Kentucky care. Whatever. You know, I said last week in a post, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And expansion of Medicaid was the core of Obamacare. If you remember correctly, the first law that came out said every state had to expand. Immediately went to court. The court said you can't force states to do that. Obamacare is right now before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans. There's a lawsuit that went through Texas. I was part of that. The Judge O'Connor in Texas struck it down. He said Obamacare is unconstitutional. From the day it came out, we said this is an unconstitutional law. The government cannot force me to buy a product in a private market that I choose not to buy. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said it's a tax. It went back to Congress. Congress took that tax out. It's unconstitutional. When the Fifth Circuit and yes, the Supreme Court rules that Obamacare is in fact unconstitutional, the authority for the federal government to pay their portion of Medicaid will go away. Now, Congress will have to act. Yeah, they're going to have to act. They're going to actually have to draw up and pass a bill the president will sign that will be constitutional. It will be fair for all of it. So these guys that go out and say, you know, as governor, I'm thinking about expanding Medicaid, but I want to call it something else. I'm for raising your taxes, but we're going to call it something else. Call it what it is. If you want to run on that, stand up and say, I'm going to raise your taxes and I'm going to expand Medicaid. Don't hide from it. This man right here not going to do either one of those. Now, we're going to work as we have always to take care of the people of the great state of Mississippi that need our help. I think Medicaid's in a better position than it's ever been. We've got a new medical school. We've got a new medical city. People are receiving the health care as much as we can possibly provide. I think public education is in better shape today than it's ever been in Mississippi's history. I dare anyone to challenge that. Now we got the old, we can do better. Yeah, that's easy. Politicians come along, we can do better. Sure we can. We're doing pretty darn good. Mississippi's got more jobs than ever before. We got more money in the treasury than anyone ever thought we would. We're about to fill the rainy day fund $500 million. $364 million more coming in than even the experts projected. Mississippi can go from good to great, but it's going to take Tate Reeves to help get us there. So I'm going to work every day. I'm going to endorse him. I'm going to speak for him. I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to encourage my family and my friends and everyone, particularly the folks in Rankin and Madison County. Come on out. Republicans, we're still conservatives. I saw the other day everyone's trying to get close to the President of the United States. Oh, that's interesting. Everybody wants to be Donald J. Trump's closest friend. Well, Donald J. Trump doesn't want to raise your taxes. and he sure doesn't want to expand Obamacare. This man knows that. I'm going to vote for him, and he's going to be the next governor of the state of Mississippi. Tate Reeves.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you, Governor Bryant, Governor Barber, for your friendship. Thank you for your friendship. We have worked together for conservative solutions in our state for a number of years. Quite frankly, since the Republican Party has truly grown to relevance in Mississippi. As a reminder to everyone, the Republicans didn't have control in the House and the Senate and the governor's office until 2011. And there were a lot of people around Mississippi that worked really, really hard to make that a reality. And because of that, we're seeing tremendous economic growth in our state. After all, we do have the lowest unemployment rate of any time in our state's history. We have more people working today than at any time in our state's history. In fact, we have over 88,000 more people working today than were working in Mississippi just 8 years ago. We're in the best financial shape we've ever been in. We're in the best fiscal shape we've ever been in. Back in 2004, when Governor Barber and I walked in the office, Governor Bryant was auditor then, Mississippi had $13 million in our rainy day fund. Now, $13 million is about what it costs Mississippi to simply run the Bureau of Narcotics. That is not an adequate amount of reserves. When our fiscal year is closed out for fiscal year 2019, fiscal year that ended June 30th, and the closeout occurred later in August, Mississippi's going to have approximately $500 million in our rainy day fund. We've been able to cut taxes over 50 times over the last 8 years, including passing the Taxpayer Pay Raise Act, which was the largest tax cut in Mississippi history. It is really important to me, and I want you all to know how thankful I am. These individuals that are standing behind me represent literally hundreds and hundreds of Mississippians, leaders across our state, elected officials, leaders of the Trump political team, folks who have been involved in building this Republican Party for years, all of whom have endorsed our campaign. What you have behind me today is obviously a number of statewide elected officials. You have members of the State House of Representatives, members of the Mississippi State Senate, local elected officials, supervisors. You have folks behind me today that are representing people from all over the state, but just here today we have folks from Yazoo County and Warren County and Simpson County and Rankin County. And they represent literally thousands and thousands and thousands of our fellow constituents. I'm proud to have their support in this effort. When I met with you all the day after the primary, a great day, an election day in which we received 49% of the vote. We won 74 out of 82 counties. We literally had a broad coalition that worked tirelessly to get us to this point. When I met with you that day, I predicted that we would have conservatives from throughout Mississippi that would rally behind our campaign team. When I made that prediction, I believed it to be true. I hoped it to be true. And what's happened over the last week and a half is just that. We have had conservatives from throughout Mississippi that are working tirelessly to ensure that I get elected to lead the Republican Party into the November general elections. But make no mistake, this is not about me. It's not about any individual. It's about the conservative cause. It's about what is our party going to look like going forward, and what is our state going to look like going forward. As has been said here numerous times today, and maybe I'll say it sometime soon, where everyone will see it besides today. and that is this. This election is not personal. I know Bill Wyler Jr. well, and he's a nice guy. I respect him. But we have a very different view on key positions and the direction that we would lead our state. I don't believe you can be a conservative and be for Obamacare expansion in Mississippi. I don't believe you can be for raising taxes on hard-working Mississippi families and still call yourself a conservative. I'll tell you, people ask me all the time, Tate, the gas tax is just a couple pennies here or there. Why won't you be for it? It's just a couple pennies here or there. Let me tell you why I have opposed it and will continue to oppose it. I went to the Watermelon Festival in Mize, Mississippi, campaigning. Pretty good watermelon, by the way. Some would argue the best watermelon in the world. I went to the Watermelon Festival in Mize, Mississippi, and this lady walked up to me, and she said, Tate, I'm going to vote for you. I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. She said, do you know why? I said, no, ma'am, but I'd love to hear it. She said, I'm going to vote for you because I live in Mize, and I drive to Jackson to work every single day. She said, my husband drives to Hattiesburg to work. She said, we're doing okay. We're doing fine. But do you know how much more it would cost us every single week if you raised the gas tax 4 cents or 6 cents or 8 cents a gallon? And the reality is there's a study out recently that shows that the average working family of 4 in Mississippi would pay $500 more per year in higher taxes. And so this election next Tuesday as to who's going to lead the Republican Party into the November general elections against a very liberal Democrat is really quite simple. If you believe that more Obamacare is the solution, then maybe you should find one of the other two candidates. If you believe that raising taxes on hard-working Mississippi families is the solution, then maybe you should look at one of the other two candidates. But if you are a conservative in Mississippi today, I'm your guy. These folks behind me today are here because they believe that Mississippi is headed in the right direction. I'm honored to have their support. I'm honored to call all of them friends. And let me just say this. We are here, I want to conclude with this because I think it's important. We are here at the Mississippi Republican Party headquarters where yesterday my wife Ely spoke to the Hinds County Republican women in this very room. And I just want to publicly thank her and my 3 girls she's working full-time, they're going to school full-time, but when they're not in one of those 2 activities, they're working very hard on the campaign trail as well. And so I just want to thank them publicly for what they're doing. And what we know is the reality that we are going to be successful next Tuesday because of the conservatives across Mississippi that are rallying behind our efforts. Thank you all very much for being here.